Okay, hold on 1 second. 1 second here. We were just talking about where I live, and I said it's for lifestyle purposes. And you're like, that means something different in my industry. You got to explain this. Like,
Oh well, like when people ask me like, "Hey, Dr. Tara, I want to get into the lifestyle," they typically mean like the kinky lifestyle.
oh, yeah, we're going to
Yeah,
talk
the
about that.
yeah, the non-traditional like sexual behavior lifestyle.
Yeah. I listen, I'm not opposed to any of that. I'm just saying I'm up here just for like the nature, gardening and stuff.
And some group sex.
Well, okay.
I go 0 to 100 real
I
quick.
love
Drake
that.
and I are best friends.
I love that. Actually, you know what? I just had yesterday my podcast Eric Everhard, who is an adult industry star, and
Wow.
Layla London connected you and me to him as well. So like I'm going through the Layla list right now of
Oh
people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Layla knows great people in the sex industry.
Oh my gosh. And we're doing a project together, like a
Oh,
podcast series all about
oh,
sex, like really raunchy. There's something different. We're working on it right now.
so fun. Yes, I can't wait to listen. I might
Yeah.
like have an orgasm in the car, but who cares?
I actually told her I think we should open up the first episode with her having an orgasm as the first part of
Oh,
it. I think it would
oh
like set
yeah.
the tone.
Oh my gosh. And she's multi-orgasmic, so that's a different life,
It's a different life.
She knows pleasure, but she
Man.
chose to, which is like a part of a lot of what I preach is you have to choose the sexual wellness life.
The sexual wellness life.
It doesn't
Expand
just come
upon
to
that.
you.
I want to hear about this, the sexual wellness life.
Yeah. So before I became this person, I wasn't this person. I wasn't always someone who's sexually unapologetic, confident, assertive, talk about sex anywhere, anytime. Before I became, you know, Dr. Tara, the sex professor, the sex coach, in my 20s, if I have to rate my like sexual confidence from 1 to 10, I was probably 0.
Wow. There was nothing there.
No, and honestly, a lot of it is, personal experience where I grew up, but also like body image is a huge part. For those of you listening, you can't see me. I'm a small Asian girl, woman. But when I was younger, like in my 20s, I was really skinny.
Okay.
So I just never thought of myself being sexy or sexual. Because when you look at like the movies, magazine, you see models and celebrities, they're always like curvilicious, right? Like
Yeah.
I am no Scarlett Johansson. So like so I growing up, like I never felt sexy. I was pretty self-conscious.
So what changed? Like, what was the beginning of this metamorphosis into this sexual animal? I'm like,
Dr. D, it's because I chose this life. And back
okay,
to where I said, it doesn't just come to you. Like people don't just have great, amazing sex with no effort. Like
of
you
course.
choose it. You choose the life of sexual wellness, sexual well being, and exploration. You have to choose this life and do activities to enhance and maintain the sexual wellness you have.
Yeah. You know what? I started wondering as soon as we started talking and everything, I'm like, it was like in my mind that you are a professor. Also, I'm like, it must be a very different experience being a student in your class. I mean, like,
You should interview them.
I know how great would that be? Like, you, Dr. Tara, is your professor? This is crazy.
Yeah. 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 I'm a professor at Cal State University and I teach sexual communication. And that's one class. And then I teach personal relationship, which is another class. I teach it at both undergraduate and master's level.
Beautiful. Now
Yeah.
listen, now let me ask you this. So like what do the students think about sex? This group of students, this time, this age,
Gen Zs.
right? And how is it different from your experience at that age?
Gosh, Dr. D, there's so much more acceptance and self love, self care, exploration nowadays, comparing to, I assume we're like the same generation.
I'm
Uh,
44, man. I'm like
okay, I'm 34.
I'm older than you. See, I mean,
Yeah, so you're like an old millennial.
I'm up there. I'm getting up there and I love it.
Yeah, you're an older millennial. I know. I was just talking to someone today how like I love getting older. It's only better. Like I freaking love it.
Why do you want to be
Uh,
22?
no, in my 20s, it was a lot of chaos. Yeah, it was
yeah,
chaotic, a lot of uncertainty, insecurity, and all of that. So, like, I
yeah,
love where I am now. But basically, my students are, let's like put it in a context. Most of them are Gen Zs. You know, there are some non-traditional students that are older that like come back to college, but 99% are Gen Zs. Um,
yes.
the oldest student I have is probably like 23.
Okay, really young. These are young
Yeah,
people.
so they're young. Yeah, and they're
Mm.
exploring. But the difference that I'm observing, and I've been teaching, so like I've been a professor since my PhD program. So in the PhD program, I was an instructor. And then after I finished my PhD, then I got to become a professor and then work on that hamster wheel. But
Yes.
so I've taught now 12 years. And I have seen this huge shift in accepting all kinds of sexual exploration amongst Gen Z. And you know what's really interesting? Gen Zs are not having sex, man.
Okay, let's talk about this. Okay,
Yeah.
so you just said more exploration, but
Yeah.
we're like the same mind right now because I was like, oh, I got to talk to Dr. Tara about this, about all these reports about how young people are not having sex, like the least amount of sex in recent history.
Exactly.
What's going on?
Isn't it so like paradoxical? Like they are so accepting, they're all about like conceptually exploring, they
Yeah,
know all the terms, like they know what demisexuality, gray
yeah.
sexuality is, but yet they're not having sex by choice.
Okay. I mean, help me understand this. I mean, this.
Yeah, so according to research and also my conversation with them is they don't want to haphazardly have sex because after learning so much from the internet and social media, they realize how perhaps like haphazard casual sex that are not like well thought out or not like intentional can be quite harmful.
Are we talking about like one night stands, things like that, and
Yeah, like you can
like
contract
sure,
STIs easily from one night stands without like
sure.
having proper conversation, and also just emotional damage really. Girls my age, I remember growing up, a lot of times we would go on like a whole year where we were single and ready to mingle and we don't care, we're sexually exploring, we have sex with people kind of haphazardly without having proper
Yeah.
conversation. And that's fine. Like to me, casual sex is a way to explore. I'm a bodily person. But for them, it's like, no, I'm not going to go that route. I'm going to like wait. I'm going to communicate. I'm going to establish emotional connection and then maybe we'll have sex.
It's so interesting because then you have this contrast of all these dating apps that young people are on.
Yeah.
Like it's just always like this weird paradox, you know, it's just like
Uh-huh.
what it's actually confusing to me. Even though you're explaining it to me, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm
I
like,
know it is. And I'm not to generalize like all Gen Zs because there
sure.
are Gen Zs that are having sex, but it
Yeah.
is a trend.
Where do you see this trend going? Is it gonna like change in your mind? Like I know you can't know, but like speculating, I mean,
Yeah, to speculate, I think that it's going to go on for a while.
wow.
Yeah, I
Jeez,
think
man.
this entire generation, which is still younger people that are in high school, are also Gen Zs. I think
Yeah.
it will carry forward. I think they will continue to, the majority of them will continue to wait
Right.
because they're learning so much more from the internet. Like there's just so much more like self-love, self-care, sexuality, sexual orientation, gender stuff on the internet now that they're like
Yeah.
much more knowledgeable than when we were young, when we were their age.
Yeah.
Um, and they just choose to wait. Yeah,
Actually, I think it's probably a good thing. I mean,
I
honestly,
think so.
I think it's probably a good thing. I mean, look, you're not that intelligent when you're like 18. So, like
You're
you're
not
20. You're
intelligent
really
until you're
not that.
30.
I know, like you're just not that. But people think they're really smart at these ages. Like you really think you like have no life experience. You have like zero life
No,
experience. Like you don't really know
no,
much, actually.
no.
Like,
That's so true. And in fact, when I like look back, a lot of casual sex that I had, and I preach this to younger people too, it's like you don't need this, is uh I wanted validation from these people that I had sex with,
yeah,
right? I wanted to be that like sexy woman. I couldn't find the confidence within myself. So I get it externally by having sex with people. And they tell me how sexy I am, how
Yeah,
great I
yeah.
look, how good I am at sex, oral, whatever. And then I get that like external validation from them, which is super unhealthy. And that's like how I used to feel. Right.
Yeah.
So the fact that they respect their own boundaries and know what they want, what they don't want, and they don't need external validation, I think that's so awesome.
Now, okay, so let's define this though. Like, okay,
Mhm.
what are we defining as sex that they're not having? I mean, are they having like oral sex, or is it just like they're not having intercourse? Like do we have that information? Like,
Yeah. Great question. What is sex? So like let me ask you, right, Dr. D. So if like we go out on for drinks and you're
okay,
like, oh, I just had sex with an amazing woman last night.
uh,
What do you mean by sex? Is it penetration? Is it touching? Like what do you mean?
I'm gonna go with for $1,000 penetration. I'm going like
$1,000 penetration. Okay.
thousand dollar
Ding 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 ding
penetration.
ding.
Ding ding
That's the
ding.
majority view.
Right.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Most people, like 95% of people, will not say they had sex with someone if it was just like a handy or oral.
Right.
They would
Right.
only say they had sex, quote unquote, sex with someone when
Mm,
it's penetration.
yeah.
So when we're talking about Gen Zs not having sex, it doesn't mean they're not fully around.
Right.
Yeah, they're having sexual activities.
They're doing
They're just not
blow
having
jobs,
penetrative
hand job.
sex.
Right. Okay. They're,
Yeah,
so that's what I wanted to clarify. They're not having
yeah,
penetrative sex. Like,
right.
how frustrating.
Is that your favorite part?
I mean, it just seems like I don't know. It just seems like what's with all the fuss about that? Like, yeah, we did this. Like,
Yeah, yeah, I think there's all kinds of differences too, like when we
sure.
were talking about lifestyle, right? There's people who are in open relationships and polyamorous relationships more than ever.
Mm,
Not that it never existed before. In fact, it has always existed.
yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
not in like the mainstream media and like not in research attention. Like researchers
Yeah.
weren't trying to find polyamorous people to interview or
That's
study.
right. That's right.
So it has always existed, but now open relationships and polyamorous relationships are like in the spotlight. There's probably going to be a TV show coming out. I know for a fact that there will be a TV show coming out that's about polyamorous relationships. So,
Yeah.
um, now sex is like it's defined in so many ways. For example, like I have one poly group that they're my client, and I use client as singular because they're one unit.
Okay.
They're my client, and they're in a poly quad of 4,
Okay.
but only like person A and person C will have sex, and then person B and person C will have sex sometime, and person D is just there for the romance, like the romantic connection. So
Okay.
yeah, when people are in a like polyamorous relationship, for example, not everyone's having sex. They're not having
Yeah.
like group sex all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a lady on, she's a clinical psychologist from Dr. Bisbee. She's from the UK
Hmm.
and she's in polyamorous relationships, but her and all of her friends, they sleep with each other. So
Hmm.
like all of them like sleep with each other. I was like, this is pretty different, man. Like
Yeah,
about
yeah,
friends getting to know each other, you know?
yeah, yeah. Well, friends with benefits, for example, is super common amongst like college age people and
Mm.
also like people in their 30s to explore sexually and not being in a committed monogamous romantic relationship. Now, like, how do you feel about that? Like, are you in a monogamous relationship?
Yes. In fact, the question about what I would do would be shocking because I've been married for almost 18 years and it's been awesome. I'm telling you right now, it's been awesome. But I have to admit, I'm not sure it's for everyone. I really don't think it's for everyone. I think it's
No,
actually
it's
really
not.
hard work. It's like incredibly hard work. Like you don't get into marriage if you're not willing to be into really hard work over time for that.
Oh my
But I,
gosh, well said.
yeah. Yeah. And too many people jump into it and just very flingy, like almost, you know, it's
Yeah.
like, I don't, you do realize what you're doing, but how do students view monogamous relationships that you've seen? And what is the research saying currently about that in this generation?
Yeah, no, they're not into marriage.
Yeah, I figured that.
Yeah.
And they're not having sex. They're not in a marriage. It's motherfuckers.
They're just, emotionally exploring.
Yeah. I mean, what's going on here?
I love what you just said about being married for 18 years and you
Yeah.
like fucking love it,
It's
because
awesome.
research found time and time again that for women especially, sex in a committed long-term relationship is better than casual sex. Not to
Interesting.
say casual sex is always bad. Obviously, Layla tells us how fucking amazing it
Layla
is.
does tell us
Yeah,
that.
and I
Yes.
had my years of fun and sexually satisfying casual sex as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that to dismiss it all, but research did find a pattern of women who are in a committed relationship having more orgasms and reporting
Yeah.
better intimacy overall.
Yeah.
So you're there. Do you have sex at least once a week?
I would say it's once every like 10 days or so.
Okay.
Actually, it's
Yeah.
been more the longer we've gone in our
Yeah.
relationship. I think it's kind of
So
something, it's amazing, actually.
I love it. And I want to ask more questions too, but
I know you
the
do.
research found there's a lot of studies, again, not just one study, multiple studies
Right.
found that couples that have sex at least once a week uh, reported the highest relationship satisfaction and sexual satisfaction.
Well, let me ask you something. I've seen some information
Mhm.
that, okay, so you're talking about young people are not banging. Okay, I got it. I see that. I've also heard about a lot of sexual dysfunction for younger people and all this. We can talk about that. But what about on average, like people my age or older? I thought I saw something where a lot of people are having sex like once a month at this point, if
Mhm.
they're lucky. Like, what's going on here?
Once a month is generous.
Oh my gosh. Tell me more. What
Yeah,
is going on
yeah.
here?
Gosh, some couples haven't had sex for 6 months. I have a couple who's my secret clients. They haven't had sex for 3 years.
Why?
you know, the honest truth is they're not attracted to one another.
Oh man,
That's the honest
that
truth
sucks.
that people are not willing to accept and admit.
Mm,
Yeah. So when I
mm,
probe further and further and further, well, I'm just so busy. And they're like, okay, let's probe. What are you
mm.
busy on? Da, 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 da. Well, it's just that. Like, what if you get help? Well, that's also this. What if you do this? Okay, let's just admit you are not attracted to him.
Yeah.
Well, he could lose some weight, or well, he
Oh,
could, yeah, or well,
yeah.
he could groom more, or well, he doesn't even like change from his regular clothes ever. Like, so that like loss of attraction, and sometimes
Right.
it's so much deeper than grooming and clothes, man. It's
Mm,
like I just don't even have chemistry with this guy anymore.
yeah.
And the truth is that's okay. The truth is like that's okay, and I don't think people that want a divorce should be shamed at all. Like you should totally get a divorce ASAP. Just kidding. I'm a supporter of trying. I'm a supporter of being patient
Mhm.
first, but also recognizing real differences in growth of the two people in the relationship, and accepting the fact that if it doesn't work out and we're now two completely different people, it's okay to get a divorce
Right. Right.
for a better life. It's like you only live once,
Sure.
right? Like
I
even if
agree.
you're 50, you still have like solid 30 years. You don't want to live that like passionately.
I mean, some people don't have a solid 30 years, but
No, I know. That depends on so many other
you know,
things.
what's so bad is like, I mean, my business is health and fitness, the whole thing, but
Mhm.
the majority of the population has about 50 years of healthful living. And then the
Yeah.
rest is in this terrible morbidity window where they're just chronic disease and stuff. It's pretty nasty, but I,
Oh.
it's not good. But I think I wonder, like, it's definitely not good. I mean, imagine again, like, how can you have a great sex life and you're always injured and stuff, and you don't,
That's
pain
true.
doesn't make you feel sexy.
Not
You
at
know, like
all.
when you're hurting because you have a chronic condition. I don't think you tell me that you would want to be like really intimate when you're just like always in pain. You know.
No, and to be honest, I'll give myself as an example. Last year in September, we went to Italy for a few weeks. I got extremely sick. I had a
Yeah.
bad case of colitis. There's like a parasite in
Ooh.
my tummy, and for weeks we didn't have sex because I couldn't.
Yeah.
because I was just so like, it was so painful. It was so painful.
Yeah.
I was walking in like the letter C because I can't like
Yeah.
I just can't even straighten my back because of how painful my
Oof.
stomach was. So yeah, I totally get it. Like fitness and sex go together like so
Completely.
much. It's like intertwined.
Completely. So what do you say? Like you said that number is generous. What's the actual, what is the data saying about the sex lives of people generally in my age group, beyond 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s? What's the data that we got here?
The most common problem, the biggest issue that couples in their 40s that have been together for over 10 years experience is mismatch in libido, a mismatch in sexual desire.
Mm.
That's the number one issue that most
Oh,
studies would suggest. And typically is one person doesn't want sex and the other person wants sex all the time.
yeah,
um and you know, in my own line of work, I have a very simple solution, but yet we have to work on it, right? But the solution to like the process to get to the solution is easy. For example, let's say we're dating and I'm asking, hey D, like how many times a week do you want to have sex to feel like, hey, like my sex life is healthy? Like
yeah.
how many times a week do you want?
I mean, I would say 1 to 2 times. Honestly,
Okay.
I feel like that number has definitely changed
Yeah.
when I was younger. But it seems pretty satisfactory to me, honestly,
Okay.
you know?
Okay. So let's say your desire is like, yeah, once a week, really good sex. I'm
Yeah,
happy. Okay. Let's say I come in and we're together and I'm like, no, like I think for me, a healthy sex life for me is 3 times a week.
sure.
So now the math is simple. 3 minus 1 equals 2. How do we
Sure.
substitute for that 2?
I mean, I'm telling you right now, I would meet the number.
Exactly, like that's because you're aware and you put in the effort. For a
Of
lot of
course.
people it's like, no, I want my what I want, you want what you want, but for me my job is mediating that and like, okay, how can we
Yeah.
meet in the middle? 3 minus 1 equals 2. How do we substitute 2 in a way that 2 people are happy?
Yeah.
So we have to go into the realm of creative sexual activity.
Creative sex. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Creative sexual activity.
So
What's the
many
game?
things you can do that are sexual, that's non-penetrative. That's not in a sense like traditional sex. For example, you can substitute the 2 with mutual masturbation.
Okay.
2 of you can be lying next to each other, hear each other moan, and just jerk off, man. Like have sex,
Yeah.
like have masturbate, and you can come and get a release, and that's also contributing to sexual wellness, right?
Yeah.
It's getting creative in ways to get off.
Okay.
That's one of them. Another one can be, what if you give the other person a handy or a blowy, right?
Yeah.
What if we together briefly watch porn?
Yeah.
What if we do sexual meditation and we just touch and squeeze? Because let's be real, like a lot of times when we say we want sex, we really want to be wanted and we want to be touched,
Mm,
because humans need touch to live.
yeah.
We really do need touch. And
For
for
sure.
people who feel so neglected, is because they weren't touched for a long time
Right.
in a way
Right.
that they feel wanted.
Yeah.
And the number one reason for divorce is infidelity. But then the number one reason for infidelity is people not feeling wanted in their relationship.
Right. Right. This makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah. So creative sexual activities, like let's substitute the 2. 3, I want 3, you want 1, 3 minus 1 equals 2. What can we do for the 2?
What can we do for the
Let's
two?
masturbate together. Let's watch
Yeah.
a little porn. Let's do a little naked jumping in the hot tub. Let's do, other things that are sexual that's non-penetrative.
Yeah. Is this part of Dr. Tara's secret recipe?
That's my
Like,
prescription.
this
Yeah.
is this prescription.
That's my prescription, is do whatever that's sexual and intimate. No one judges you. I never judge my clients and people. Do whatever you guys feel like it's intimate and sexual. Doesn't have to be penetrative sex.
What's the biggest hangup that people have that work with you, or maybe what are some of the most interesting questions students have asked you related to sex?
Uh, two things. One is they want to explore something that they know their partner wouldn't be down with exploring.
Mm,
And then two is, gosh, that mismatched sex drive, man. It's a huge issue. Like millions of people experience this.
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But the exploring, it's like, is it a an attitudinal issue or is it a communication issue? For example, like, are there things that you absolutely will not be down to do?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Like, would you be
Actually,
down for, like, let's say we're dating, would you be down for me like pegging you?
what's that?
Me wearing a strap on and having sex with you anally?
No. I don't think
Okay.
so.
Yeah. So for that, like, let's say my student would ask, like, okay, like, I saw this on TV, like, actually, Broad City, the show,
Yeah.
talked about this. Like, I saw this on TV and I'm fascinated. I really want to try. I don't know how to bring it up. Or, like, I
Yeah.
know he will not be down. Right. That's the
Yeah.
question that people usually
Yeah.
have.
Oh yeah. How did they get around that? Like, what's the like? How can you get around that?
uh, Gradual. Don't lose hope.
Don't lose
Don't
hope.
lose hope. But I would
Don't
say
lose hope.
gradual and collaborate.
Yeah.
Compromise and collaborate. For example, if it's like, a fantasy that you're like, oh my God, that's so cool, but it's not like a huge part of your sexual identity, just think about it when you jerk off and like lose it. Right. If it's
Yeah.
not like something that you must do. But there are things that people are like, oh, I'm huge into this. And I can't believe my partner is not willing to do it with me. For
Yeah.
example, one of my clients is into feet and his
Okay.
wife is like, absolutely not. That's weird. Right. For him, it's like, do you not love me to compromise to have me like, you know, jerk myself off with your feet?
Yeah.
Uh, and like, why can't you do that? Like, it doesn't hurt you in any way. So like, it's two people misunderstanding each other, right? Because for her, it's not about that. It's about like, what about me? Do you not want me? Do you not want to
Right.
have sex with me? Like, penetrate in my vagina? Like, why is it that you just want my feet, right? For her, it's not about him either. It's about like, she wants to feel wanted.
Yeah. Have you seen some people's feet? Not good.
Uh,
Yeah.
I don't personally get off from feet, but I can
No.
understand some of the psychology behind it because some people have really pretty feet.
What is the psychology behind it? Because
And
it's
the
not a
thing,
thing for me, man. I'll tell you that. Right.
have you seen my feet? Just
I
kidding.
haven't seen your feet. I mean, throw them up there. We'll see what's going on. Like,
I dated someone that was super into my feet and I like just
really?
let him jerk off with my feet multiple times.
Wow. Was that pleasurable for you? I mean,
No, but I also so like he would do that and I would also like put a vibrator on my clit because
oh,
it's
I
a
see.
mutual
I
activity.
see.
Yeah,
I
it's a
see.
mutual activity. It's something that I do for the partner that I was with.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, majority, like 99% of people with foot fetish are men.
Really? Why?
Have you ever heard of a woman who's into feet?
Not really, but I just wonder why guys are in that. I don't know. It's weird.
There's no proof, but like there's actually, we can't really test this, but like my theory is um for heterosexual men, like women's feet are so much nicer.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I don't think like being a heterosexual female, like I don't think well, I'm not heterosexual, but for heterosexual female, like I don't think we look at men's feet and like, oh my God, that's so sexy.
No, no, you don't want to see these feet, man.
No, it's stinky. Most of the times, men have stinky feet.
It's not good. I'll tell you right now, it's not good. Dr. Tara, it's not good.
Exactly, exactly. So I just think, yeah, my theory is just like we just have nicer feet
Maybe that's probably what it is. I'm thinking. Do you ever have to like combat disinformation from people
all
when you're
the
talking
time.
about sex? Like, give me some examples of that.
Yeah. Number one, if you use a vibrator, you will lose sensation on your clit.
Come on.
Lots and lots and lots of people think this,
Hmm,
and
interesting.
that's a huge myth.
Where are
That's
they
a
getting that from? Where are they getting that information from?
these like fucking online guru.
Oh,
Like with
Enough.
no, knowledge or research experience, they just coin themselves like sex guru and then giving all this fucked up misinformation. It's so annoying. They're like, if you
Jeez.
use the vibrator too much, you're gonna lose sensitivity in your clit. Like, no, you don't. You really
Oh,
don't. Like, it doesn't interact in that way. And you can ask an OBGYN medical doctor, like, you
yeah.
don't lose sensation on your
It's
clit. So that's like
crazy.
number one that lots of people think. Another thing, and this is perpetuated by pop culture a lot and music and rap music, is if you have a lot of sex, your vag become loose.
Oh,
Loose vag.
loose vag. Yeah.
That's not true at all. That's a myth. And let me bust it right now. It is
Let's
not
bust it.
true. Yeah, let's bust it.
Let's bust it.
Bust it, baby. The vagina and the vaginal muscle and canal is so freaking strong. Uh, if if you have sex with someone, let's say with a huge, like unreasonably huge penis,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that it will get stretched out and stay like that forever. It comes back. It
Yeah.
bounces back. It's a muscle.
Right.
So there's no like loose vagina, except for there's actual problems because I just talked to a woman that does Dr. Karen. She's at the Cedar Sinai Hospital here, and she does like vaginal construction surgery,
Uh-huh.
reconstruction surgery. And she said after natural childbirth, for some women, not all, for some women, um it will be loose and they may have like other issues as well. That's why they do like, the mommy surgery.
Yeah. It's funny to think that like, okay, this baby that's like, between 7 to 10 pounds or
It's
something. It's
huge.
huge, right? That makes sense for some loosening. But a
Uh-huh.
dude thinks that his dick is gonna be like the thing that does it. It's such an ego trip, man.
It is.
There's
It's
so much
always fucking,
ego.
it's always men, man.
Such an ego,
Like
man.
all this war that we've had in the world, the
Ah,
current
man.
time, in the past, it's all men. It's men and their ego. It's
It's
so
a lot of
fragile.
ego.
Yeah, it's like men thinking, yeah, like you can't handle this, or like your pussy's gonna be all stretched out and like loose because like my dick is so large. Like I have a horse dick. Like no, bro, like they can have like a 8-pound child. So
Exactly.
relax.
Relax. It's really nothing compared to the baby that's coming out of it. Like,
And for most women, it bounces back. They don't really need that surgery.
right.
Some do, some don't.
All right, let's talk. We talked about let's talk about masturbation a little bit.
Yeah.
We talked about mutual masturbation. Actually, yesterday, Eric Everhard was telling me about conscious masturbation.
Mm-hmm.
Never heard of that. But what are the stats on masturbation, generally speaking, among population, young, older? Do we have that information?
Yeah, we do. Masturbation, let me recall. I just taught it. So men of all sexual orientation masturbate every day
Not a
up
surprise.
until well, actually up until 30 years old.
Really?
Men
What
in their
happens at
30s,
30?
men in their 30s and 40s don't masturbate every day. We suspect is socio-cultural pressures.
Hmm.
It's not hormones.
Yeah.
Well,
Hmm.
some hormones actually.
Some
If you
hormones.
if you eat really shitty and you
Yeah.
don't exercise, you don't have the drive.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, people that like completely let themselves go and eat shitty food every day, they don't have the sex drive.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
it's hormonal issues, like, and you like
Wow.
you deal with fitness, how like
Yes,
important fitness is kind of
of
intertwined with your
course.
sex drive.
Of course.
So yeah, if you eat shitty, you don't exercise, all of that, you don't have sex drive to begin with. But for let's say a regular healthy young man of 30 years old and above, there's like a lot of socio-cultural pressure. So like you're 30, you're supposed to be making it. Like you're 30,
Yeah.
you should work harder. And all of this like stressors combined, they probably just don't want to masturbate.
Interesting. How about women? What's the stats on women with masturbation?
Women masturbate a lot. However, women, older women, like women past 30, so women in their 30s. And so let's talk about sexual peak.
Yes, let's
So
do.
men peak in their 20s. So did you feel like you peaked sexually in your 20s?
What does that mean? Peak sexually? Like, what is
Just super sexually active, like you were horny a lot. You
okay?
were you were like having like longer sex, like super a lot of power like behind it.
Power behind it.
Yeah.
So,
Power of the D of Dr. D. Dr. D stands for Dr. Dick,
you
right?
didn't know that, did you guys? It's just a
I knew
cover.
it.
It's
I
just a
knew it.
cover. That's right. That's why I like talking to all these people about sex. It's disguised like as a sex podcast. Um, I would say I was definitely. I think my libido or like my thought about it a lot more when I was in my 20s, and I think that
Yeah.
started to slide a bit in my mid 30s, and in my 40s I don't think about it as much,
Mhm.
but I do, but just not as much about it.
Yes.
Like I'm okay
Yes.
with that. I'm actually okay with that. But
Yes.
that's what's crazy to me about the 20 something year old people not having sex, because that's when you're like thinking about it all the time. In that age.
Maybe they'll be having a shit ton of sex in their 30s and 40s.
Maybe.
Who knows? We don't have that data. They're not old enough yet.
Yeah, this could be a scary future. I don't know.
Sex clubs for people in their 40s only.
Man, I heard a crazy story about like a sex club type of thing from Layla on my podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy. It was like a potluck. How
Is
weird
it?
is
It is a
that?
potluck.
Right. But people were serving chili and then having sex out in the open. That seems totally contradictory to me. I don't know.
Right? I mean, yeah, just chilies. Yeah, probably no anal sex.
I mean, it's a different meaning to ass play. You know what I mean? It's like a whole different thing there.
I mean, if you're into poop, maybe.
Oh, God. But the weird thing is
Yeah.
some people are so disgusting. Oh,
What
man.
what the sexual peak cycle that you just talked about yourself? You are literally the textbook
In the
example.
textbook. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so normal. It's like for
Yeah.
men in their 20s, it's like fuck, 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 sex, 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 sex. And then in their 30s, like, oh shit, I gotta like strive. I gotta work more. I gotta establish myself. A lot of people are starting having children, da, 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 get so busy. And then they think about sex less. And then in their 40s, they're like, now I'm just like trying to have good sex with my wife. Like, just trying my best to have good sex with my wife in my 40s. So like they think about sex less. That's like totally normal.
Yeah.
But for women in their 30s, women hit their sexual peak in their 30s, starting at like 30 years old.
Yeah.
So yeah, like women in the 30s are sexual. And I think also if you think about the modern society and women trying to have children, typically it's about 30 or late 20s or like mid 30s, right?
Yeah.
So it makes so much sense that like your hormones would go like sex, 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 sex. I'm horny at 30 because it's also like biological part of you like, oh, let's have children. Even though you don't plan to have children, in your brain it's like, let's have sex, da da da. So it makes so much sense if you think about it in terms of like evolutionary theory.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's the differences between sexual peak. And that's why like a lot of people in their 20s, a lot of women in their 20s will say, yeah, I didn't even start having good sex until I was 30
Yeah.
because they weren't
Yeah.
there yet.
Right. This is a weird like mishmash because guys are like
Yeah.
so into it in that time, and then I'm obviously this is just one version of sexuality, male, female, but like
Right.
what do you make of the different relationships, whether it's gay
Mhm.
lesbians, is there a difference that we're seeing there?
Yes.
Like I want to know that information.
Yes. So I want you to guess
Oh man.
for women of all sexual orientation, let's say heterosexual, lesbian,
Okay.
bisexual, let's say the three groups, who has the most orgasms?
Oh my goodness, who has the most orgasms? Lesbians.
Ding 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 for
Man.
$1,000.
Boom.
Dr. D brought the D.
You see that?
Are you sure it's Dr. D? I feel like it's Dr. A plus.
A plus, A plus plus. I mean, you know what? It felt right.
Yeah.
No, right.
Yeah. So literature shows that lesbian women experience the most orgasms.
Wow. Let's
Mhm.
explain this. I want to
Yeah.
know the mechanism. Like, why is this the case?
I think two things. Women also we're women, so we understand the other woman's body.
Ah,
Like we have the same
yes.
body, right? Like regardless of what it looks like, the mechanism is the same.
Regardless of what it looks
Yeah,
like.
regardless, like maybe we're one of us is like much bigger, the other one is like
Yeah.
super scrawny, like doesn't matter, but the mechanism is the same. And I think we take more time. Like women take more time. And you know, in
Yeah.
lesbian relationships, like the reported cuddling and foreplay is so like significantly longer than heterosexual
Of
relationships.
course it is.
Yeah, because they're just like cuddling and kissing and squeezing each other's nipples, and they don't like rush to penetration because
Yeah.
like if you think about younger heterosexual couples, like they want to like rush to that like penetration, right? But
Yes.
for lesbians it's not the same. So in that case, like no wonder they take more time, they warm up the bodies more, and they experience more reliably, like they experience orgasm.
Yeah. And so, and like male to male, what's the information there? Is it
So gay men have sex for much more frequently than heterosexual males.
yeah.
Um, and again, like if you think like evolutionary theory, like men were never when men never had to worry about carrying a child.
Yeah.
It's not in their DNA to worry about holding on to this fetus for like 9 months.
Yeah.
So for men, sex is low stake, right? Because
Mm,
there's like not really any consequences apart
sure.
from like now like sexual health and infections and diseases.
Yeah.
So men have it in them, like they're hardwired to like sex in general. But of course, like I said, if you don't eat right, if you don't exercise, like all of that like diminish,
Yeah.
right? But let's say you do, you know, if you're a healthy male, you have way more sex. And when it's two males, like there's so much more sex.
Yeah. You know, I heard that actually. I mean, yeah, you know, I think there's this kind of stereotype of gay men of like this promiscuity, lots of sex and stuff. And it's interesting to hear the data on this.
Yeah, and I mean, have you ever like, well, you've not been on Grinder, but have you seen it?
No. I have never seen Grinder. I've heard about it. Yeah.
Okay. I love being on my friend's Grinder and just looking through it because there will be literally pictures of just the torso, like just the abs, or just
Really?
the dick, or
Wow.
just the ass. No
What?
face. No face.
Wow.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's very, very common. If you go on Grinder, it's
it's
very, very
common.
common. It's common.
What's the deal behind that? I
No
mean,
face, just the body.
but why?
Because in well, specifically just Grinder, okay, not all apps. Like Tinder is not like that, they show face. But
Yeah.
on Grinder, it's a known thing that they want to hook up. Like they
Okay.
have sexual urges, they want to get together and be intimate and satisfy that intimacy needs.
Yeah.
No need for relationship, so like no need for face.
I love the way you
Show
say
me your
that. No
dick and
need for
ass.
face.
No need for face. No need for just show me your dick and abs and
Wow.
ass and ass. But yeah, like this is the truth. The truth is when you go on Grinder, you'll see grids. It looks like Instagram, like little
Yeah.
grids, like little square grids, and you'll see tons, like at least
Just
50%.
dicks.
50% just dicks or abs. There's a lot of abs.
The
Or
abs.
ass.
Like, like
It's like I'm fit, bro. Like I don't know.
I'm
Maybe
fit,
it
bro.
shows sexual vitality. Like
Maybe.
oh, I have
Yeah.
high sex drive. Like I can really fuck.
Man, what you know what that makes me think about, like, what about like sex pics, you know, nudes
Uh-huh.
people send. This is like way outside of my realm of reality.
Do
Like,
you send dick pics?
no, I've never done that before.
I
I've
want you to
never
do it
sent it.
right now.
No, I can't. I will be
Send
sending
to
it to
your
my wife.
right now.
You know,
Yes.
if I sent that to my wife, she'd be like, "What is wrong with you? Like, what are you doing? I don't want to see that."
You're talking to Dr. Tara, baby.
Actually, I don't know. I want to know what you think, Dr. Tara, but I don't know. A lot of the women I've known do not think dicks are particularly impressive looking. Like, it's actually kind of it's not exactly a beautiful looking thing. I mean, mine is, but listen, let's not talk about me here.
Dr. D for a reason.
Exactly. Let's come back to that. Exactly. But
PhD for a pretty huge dick.
I didn't say it. She did. What a woman.
I need your wife to confirm.
You know what? You text me afterwards. I'll tell you. All right. But like, I don't know, like I never done it. But I don't know. I think about like, what are the implications of that? Like if you're meeting somebody just sending dick pics to people, like, is there a healthy level of that, or is this dangerous on some level?
There is definitely a healthy and unhealthy level.
What's the healthy level? I'm trying to figure this
Let's do
out.
what's an unhealthy level. If you
Okay.
send a dick pic every day, bro, you need a hobby.
Got problems.
You definitely got problems. Reach out to a therapist or a coach immediately.
But there's guys probably that think this is how a woman's
Dude,
going to be into me.
there are guys that
I
do
just
that
send
every
it to
day,
her.
and to strangers. Like
That's what I'm saying. That's crazy.
I get dick pics.
No.
Yes, my DMs is filled with dick pics.
All right. Come on. What do you think when you get it?
And I mean, I like immediately don't look at them. If it says in the archive, like in the, what is it, like the place where if we're not friends and you send a DM, it goes there. I don't even like look at like I don't click into it because I know it's a dick pic. Like, hey doc, can you look at this? Of course it's a dick pic. Like, fuck you, I'm not gonna fall into your fucking trap.
Does anybody ever get like creative with it? They're like, oh, I sent this PDF document and it's like about this research, and then it's a dick. Like,
you know, I'm a new age. I'm a creative sex coach.
Yeah.
Actually, some young men that I work with that perhaps experience sexual anxiety, I have an exercise that I do with them where they have to send me a dick pic.
Wow.
Yeah, and they send it in a Google Drive. It's a picture of them in a mirror, a naked picture of them in a mirror. It's to practice getting over this like fear of like, oh, I don't look good enough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so in that case, it's fine. You're my client. Like,
But
you
what
pay
if they
for my
don't
session.
look good enough? I mean, I'm just saying.
As long as you believe it.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
belief. Okay, what's
So,
the healthy
let's talk
version?
about so dick pics can be beneficial even to a romantic relationship when one, it's wanted,
Yeah.
and two, there is a message coupled with it that is about the receiver.
What's the message?
Yo, baby girl, what do you think about this big D? Just kidding. It is, for example, you can send a little dick pic to little dick pic. Sorry, large
Little dick
pic.
pic. Come on,
Massive
Dr.
dick
Tara.
pic. I'm trying to normalize things here. So your regular size dick pic.
I mean, not everybody's a huge cock. I
To
mean,
your
seriously.
girlfriend. And that's okay.
Most people
know?
probably don't. I mean,
The average erect penis is 5 inches.
Right.
And all women are satisfied with that if it's used well and there's a lot of foreplay. So let's be
Right.
real.
there you go.
But when you send it, think about the receiver. For example, you can send a dick pic and say, thinking of you.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh.
you're the reason why I'm horny right now. So
That's usually a
let's just
card
don't
that
send a
someone
dick
sends
pic.
thinking of you.
Yes, thinking of you. Get well soon.
Get well soon. Open up the card. There's a dick that pops out.
Speedy recovery. After a night of like rough, great sex, like send a dick pic the next day and say speedy recovery is pretty cute. It's pretty cute. So make it about the receiver, not about
Okay.
yourself, not about your ego, not like, look at my big dick. Like, no.
Yeah.
Send a dick pic because you want to remind them you are horny for them.
What about vagina pics? Is that ever a thing?
Damn. Oh, I send them.
No, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I send vagina pic. If my partner is traveling and he's like abroad or somewhere else, like I send like a short video of me like using a dildo, and then I send it to him and I
Really?
said, thinking of you.
Okay. But just like, okay, I get that, but like just straight up vagina. Just like, hey, here it is. You know? Like,
Yes.
really?
Yes. I highly recommend doing
Never
it.
heard of any woman doing that, honestly. I
Like,
don't know. It's always
or
dick pic stuff.
a naked pic.
Naked
Nudes.
pic. Nudes.
Yeah. So instead of sending a pic of dick, the vulva itself, you
The
could do
vulva.
a naked pic and send it to them. Like, can't wait for tonight.
Yeah.
Or,
Oh, that's
like, you
sexy.
know. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
super sexy, and especially for long-term couples, man. Like, do it. Do this to spice up your sex life. So, Dr. D, I highly recommend you do it after
Hey,
this call.
You better get that after this call.
Do it after this call and text her thinking of you.
You better get that password together, people. Put that phone on lock, man. I have
And
a 10-year-old
also,
daughter,
like,
man. I'm like,
oh yeah, that's right.
put that thing on lock.
But the thing is, like, you know, like, is it too bad if they're like, oh my God, my parents are so like sexually into each other, I feel like it's a good thing.
Actually, you're probably right
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my daughter already thinks that, I think, about us.
Yeah, of
But
course. You
uh,
guys are like probably like the coolest parents.
yeah, we're very cool and we're very affectionate, and stuff like
Oh,
that. My daughter sees that. I think it's
yeah.
important.
It's really
Uh,
healthy, especially like seeing like dad giving mom like the right kind of affection.
yes, yes, but see, I think it's interesting. All this, are these college students as open as you are about this? Like the way, do you talk like this in class? Seriously,
Yeah,
I want to take your
exactly.
class.
Oh, I talk exactly like this.
Can I zoom into your class?
Yes, actually, I teach sexual communication this summer. It starts in July.
Wow,
Sit in
geez,
one of them and maybe record some and put it on your.
man, I tell you what, Dr. Tara, there's something here, man. There's something
Thank
big
you.
happening here. It's not.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, be on a lookout for all the listeners out there of my TV show that's coming out next
No,
year.
really.
But for now, listen to Love Bites by Dr. Tara podcast. It's all about sexual wellness.
We're not done yet, Dr. Tara. You're not
I'm
done.
like, I'm leaving.
No, you're not leaving.
Go send a dick pic.
Unless you really have to leave, I have a few more questions. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Shoot it.
Actually, I just forgot them. So anyway. No, I wanted to ask about your 5,000 subject study and your
Yeah.
TED talk. Let's get into that. I'm
Okay.
not going to talk about dicks anymore. Well, maybe, but it's like vaginas, but I mean, it's life.
It's life.
It's life. So tell me about this study. I'd love to hear about it. Like this, why did you do this study?
I did this study because I wanted to know my big question was what predicts long-term sexual satisfaction? Because I've witnessed so many people losing sexual satisfaction the longer they're dating, the longer they're together. How can we bring that energy that we had for each other the first 2 3 years of dating into the rest of our lives if we choose to be in a monogamous relationship and
Mhm.
be with this person forever? How can we have a long-term sexual relationship? That's really my question.
Hmm.
And I collected data over like almost 2 years, and it's all cross-sectional survey data. So definitely for all surveys, I mean for all research studies, I recommend people like take it with a grain of salt.
Hmm.
Quantitative studies like this, like where there's like
Yeah,
5,000 subjects, it's generalization, right?
sure.
So maybe it's like a lot of people, majority of the people are like this, but maybe you're not. Maybe you're
Yeah.
different. So in this study, I found that three three variables are the strongest predictors of long-term sexual satisfaction. That is sexual confidence, sexual communication, and sexual mindfulness.
Hmm.
And we can unpack each of them briefly.
Yes.
Sexual confidence is the trust in your own ability to have a successful sexual encounter. So let's talk about like what is a successful sexual encounter for you?
What is a
Yeah.
sexual encounter? Like, is like just
Like
having
having
sex?
sex. Yeah, like in
A
a session. Like
successful,
what is successful for you? Yeah.
I think for me, it's like that the mindset is there ahead of time initially. I mean, I don't necessarily need that, but I think for us together, like the mindset is there. Like we're like excited about it later on,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yes.
oh yeah, this is going to be exciting later on type of thing.
Yes.
And then,
And
yeah, go for it. Yeah.
well, and then like during sex, like let's say you conclude that sexual session, like what makes it successful?
I think the connection during it.
Okay.
I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but it's true. Like the connection, the taking the time, that it's not this like, let's just go at it, be done type of thing.
Mhm,
That it has a rhythm to it.
mhm. Now,
Um,
how confident are you from 1 to 10 in, let's say, engaging in that, what you just described, a successful sexual encounter? How confident are you in your own ability?
like an 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, see, you are someone with high sexual confidence.
Yeah. I get
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. But in my study, there's a lot of moderate level and low level of sexual
Wow.
confidence.
Ooh.
So
Mm.
yeah, the people need to work on themselves, and that's okay. Like wherever you are, like I said before, I was super like self-conscious when I was younger. Like from 1 to 10, I was probably zero, maybe
Yeah.
one. I worked on myself. I chose to,
Yeah.
like embark on the sexual wellness journey.
Yeah.
So that's the first variable. The second variable is sexual communication, in
Mm,
which is um, it's fueled by the confidence.
mm.
Without the confidence, you can communicate sexually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's
So
true. Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
I think
Without the
that's true.
confidence, you can't have that sexual communication.
Yeah.
And sexual communication is the strongest predictor.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you have very strong sexual communication, probably. I feel
I
like,
do. I
yeah,
do.
I feel like it's
I
a,
talk about sex with my partner a lot. I make sure it is a part of our
yeah.
regular repertoire. Like
Yes.
we talk
Yeah.
about sex like almost every day.
Yeah. See, I didn't do that for a long time. And I
Mhm.
would say in the last 3 or 4 years, it's a regular conversation at
I
this
love
point.
that. I love
Yeah.
hearing that. You know why? Because a lot of people think it's too late. It's never too late
No, no, no,
because you
not
were
at all.
married for 18 years
Yeah. It's a long time.
and you started having sex conversations or just conversation about your guys' sex lives
Yeah. A lot
last like
more.
few years.
Yeah. A lot more like just talking about it a lot
Yeah.
more.
How
But I
like how
also,
do we feel about
yeah. Yeah.
our sex life, right?
I also think
I
that
love that you share that.
I'm just a more like experimental person the older I've gotten. Like I'm not in this trend where I'm like regressing as a person and like
Mhm.
getting set in my ways. If anything, I'm just getting like crazier with
Mhm.
stuff. So it's like, and I want to, and then like doing my podcast, like, okay, some people that would be talking to you would be like, oh my gosh, Dr. Tara said all this cock talk and, vagina talk, like very open and you're like very happy. Like me, I think it's amazing. Some people are like, they're not into that.
Yeah.
Like they're like very closed off about me.
I
I'm like, give me
know.
more. Like, let's do more. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
somebody talked to me about water sports one time on here about peeing on each other. And I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't bat an eye, man. I was like, okay, let's talk about it. I was like,
Right.
not my
Hey,
thing,
like
but
it's
let's
cool.
talk
It's how
about
you
it.
get off.
I want to talk about it. It's not me, but I want to talk about it,
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know.
me too. I think we share that curiosity nature of just being
Yes.
human. The older I get, the more curious I am.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So the
Because I
last one.
realize there's so many things in the world that I
Oh
like
my
never heard
gosh.
of.
Me too. I mean, I don't hear some of this stuff you said today. I was like, okay, all right. I don't, what am I doing?
It's okay. You're having vanilla sex, which can be great too.
I
But
think so.
whenever you're ready to cross that bridge, I'm here, man.
You
I
know
have
what?
a program called Vanilla Crossing, and
Vanilla
it's me.
crossing.
Yeah, and it's me facilitating a vanilla couple that have been together for a while to cross over to exploring other things.
Yeah. Okay. All
Vanilla
right.
crossing.
This
Okay,
one.
so the
Yeah.
last variable that predicts long-term sexual satisfaction is sexual mindfulness.
Mm,
Sexual mindfulness is defined as the ability to stay present, completely present during sex.
okay.
So it is what you explained when I asked you what is sexual confidence for you or what is sexual success for you. You
Yeah.
already explained that variable. You were like, well, when we're really into it,
Yeah.
that's sexual mindfulness.
Mm,
People that score high in sexual mindfulness are the people that are quote unquote are able to get into it.
yeah.
And there are some people that are just like dead fish or like
Oh,
mechanical sex. That's the people that have low sexual mindfulness.
right. Right.
So yeah, three of these things together can almost guarantee you a long-term, really happy and healthy sex life. It is sexual confidence, sexual communication, sexual mindfulness.
Wow. Pretty cool stuff.
Thank you.
Dr. Tara, this was better than I even thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be pretty good, but it like blew my mind. Like, it's so much fun.
I know. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. And again, let people know how they can talk to the wonderful Dr. Tara here.
Yes, you can find me on my website, luvbites.co, luvbites.co. My Instagram is also luvbites.co, as well as my TikTok. But if you go to my website, you'll see all my information, as well as my podcast, Love Bites by Dr. Tara.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Tara.
Thank you, Dr. D.